Hello, everybody. I hope that you are working hard on your research paper and finding sources. I wanted to come on here and just make a quick video to talk a little bit about some of the things that I'm looking at when I look at your thesis statements and just some questions that y'all have been asking me. And so I just thought, well, maybe I'll clarify some things by making a short instructional video. I want to show you in week 5, which I realize we are now in week 6, but in week 5, that's where a lot of your resources to write this paper are. The first and foremost one is the Poetry Research Paper Guidelines that is right here, if you can see where I'm about to click, and I'm going to open that up. Let me share that screen with you. This has basically step-by-step from paragraph by paragraph what your paper needs to be about. So if you have not opened this up and printed it, please go back to week 5. Open this up, print it, because it's your how-to guide. It tells you each paragraph what is going to be in there. Some of your thesis statements, you were listing 5 or 6 different literary elements. Really, you only need 3 literary elements. Some of you mentioned rhyme, scheme, and meter. That does not need to be listed because that's going to be in your paragraph 3. Also, some of you are still struggling with the thesis formula. Again, it's in this packet. So paragraph 1, you're going to be giving the title of the poem, your author, and then basically a literal summary of your poem, just like you did in your short story analysis. Then you'll want to end your paper with this thesis statement where you have your literary devices listed. Paragraph 2, you're going to be talking about your author, and you're going to be talking about the background of your author. Paragraph 3, you're going to be talking about the physical structure of the poem, the meter, the rhyme, the rhythm, if there is some. If there is no rhyme scheme, if there is no meter, then talk specifically about the physical structure of the poem. How many lines does it have? How many stanzas? What are some of the line lengths or the punctuation marks? Physically, what does the poem look like? Now, in paragraph 2, you're going to need sources in that because you're not an expert on that author. You're going to need to research the information about that author. So you're going to have sources in paragraph 2. Paragraph 3, you might not have any sources because you might can do that all on your own. You might can tell me the rhyme scheme. If it has a beat, you might can tell me that pattern because we've talked about it. And so realize that you may not have sources in every paragraph. Paragraphs 4, 5, and 6, that's where you go back to your thesis statement and you have listed the literary elements. Let's say you have metaphor, personification, and maybe diction, or tone, symbolism, and figures of speech. So if you think, okay, there's a few similes and a few hyperboles, but there's really not a whole paragraph on similes and a whole paragraph on hyperboles, then just say the term figure of speech and talk about all the different figures of speech in one paragraph. Paragraph 4, 5, and 6, you're probably going to have some sources that you found about your poem. And then paragraph 7, give me a personal evaluation. Everything else should be written in third-person point of view. I should not see I, and I should not see you. Until paragraph 7, that's when you can speak in first-person point of view. So I just want to kind of reiterate this packet, the Poetry Research Paper Guidelines. Make sure you have printed that. In addition, I wanted to pull up in week 5, you also have some sample papers. I posted these kind of late last week, so you may not have recognized that they were there, but week 5, the very bottom, there are 2 sample papers. These are papers from former students who had the same assignment you did. They have the same 7-paragraph structure that you do. They know how to do a works cited page. They've done parenthetical documentation, and so use those as a model. Let me pull up one of them for you. This one wrote on the Sick Rose by William Blake. Again, she has an introduction paragraph. Whenever she quotes a line from the poem, you'll notice that she puts line 8 in parentheses. Now, usually MLA, you have to put the author's last name and the page number. But if you're citing one poem and your whole paper is about that one poem, then she didn't have to put Blake line 8. She just put line 8 because I know Blake wrote it. Okay, it's her primary source. You'll notice here, here's a source that she took from someone last name Dylan. So when I see Dylan, I'm going to scroll down to the Works Cited page and I should see Dylan there as well. There it is. Okay. Her Works Cited page is done perfectly, hanging indent. Every second and subsequent lines is indented. She has them in alphabetical order. She has things in italics. She has things in quotation marks. And every source that she has listed here are the ones that she listed in the paper. Now, if your source does not have a page number, then you're not going to have a page number. You're just going to have the author's last name. But all of hers did have page numbers. Again, not everything is perfect in this paper, but it does a really good job of showing you the organization, parenthetical documentation, and a works cited page. So use both of these that I have put here for you as models for you, okay? Here's a kind of an awkward situation here. You may not have understood this, but what if your source quoted somebody else? Well, that's why she put quoted in Andrews. Somebody else quoted, or Andrews quoted somebody else. She doesn't have the somebody else source. She has the Andrews source. So she's got to give Andrews credit as well. You will notice that when she did that too, like little here, there is no page number because it was an online source. Your database articles don't have page numbers. When you print them, that's not the page numbers. That they want the original page numbers. So unless you have a PDF source, you probably are not going to have page numbers. But again, anytime you document a source, it needs to match up with that works cited page. Last week we talked about, and maybe this week as well, the difference between paraphrasing, quoting, and summary. If you paraphrase a source, you still have to give them credit. If you paraphrase what somebody said about your author's life, you still have to put this parenthetical documentation because you didn't know that already. You have to give them credit, okay? If you have two sources, two authors, this shows you how to do it. Again, your handbook, inside your Seagull handbook, the MLA section, you need to be going through it. I can't teach you everything. I haven't posted everything I know about this. You have to kind of take what we've talked about and then utilize your own knowledge with the handbook to create this research paper. I've given you the 7-paragraph structure. I've given you how many sentences I think needs to go in each paragraph. But again, feel free to talk to me, email me, Remind 101 if you have problems about this. But I hope this little bit of information will help